All right, welcome back, Bobcats. Today we're going to do a little bit more rounding. We started yesterday with. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be doing. We're estimating sums and differences, meaning we're going to round the number, and then we're going to add it, find a sum, or subtract it, find a difference. And that is going to be our objective. End of the day, you will be able to estimate sums and differences by rounding. Alright, so let's first take out our notebooks. Open up, if you'd make a heading 5-2 in the header of your notebook, and then write down these vocabulary terms. Sum, answer to an addition problem. Difference, the answer to a subtraction problem. And round, to find the approximate value of a number. Pause the video and write your vocabulary terms down now. Alright, welcome back. Alright, so we're going to estimate. This is exactly what we did yesterday. So if you can remember from what we did yesterday, let me get a different color. Let's choose red. So we're going to round to the underlined. So they already underlined where we're going to round. We're going to circle the digit to the right. And from that, we're going to evaluate. 4 is going to keep the 3 the same. The 12 stays there. Everything to the left stays the same. The 3 stays the same. And everything else turns into 0. So our estimated value is 12 3/10. Number 2, for example, we've underlined 3. Let's circle the 1. Now we evaluate. Is it going to keep it the same or make it get bigger? Yes, it's going to keep it the same because 1 is between 0 and 4. So we're going to estimate this. The 5 and the 9 stay there. The 3 stays there. That is our estimated value. All right, go ahead and pause the video. If you'd go ahead and try number 3 and number 4, and then go ahead and push play to see if you've gotten it correct. Pause the video now. All right, so let's take a look at 3 and 4. We are underlining the 0. We are circling the 3. It's going to keep it the same. So our approximate value is 82. Hopefully you got that correct. Number 4, we are estimating to the tenths or the hundredths column, The 4 is going to keep that 6 the same. So our estimated value is 9 16 hundredths. Hopefully you got both of those correct. Again, go ahead and pause the video. And if you'd round number 5 and 6 on your own to the indicated place value. Go ahead and pause the video now. All right, number 5 is asking us to round to the tenths. That TH, we know it's going to be a decimal. So we're rounding to that 2. I'm circling the digit to the right. That 9 is going to make that 2 get bigger. That's why I write +1. So our new value, the 8 stays there, the 1 stays there, the 6 stays there. The only thing that's going to change is that 2. The 2 is going to change to a 3. So we have 816 3/10. All right, for number 6, we're rounding to the tens column. So that would be the 7 right here, which means we're going to evaluate this 9. So that 9 is going to make that 7, get bigger. 5 stays there. The 7 we just said is going to get larger. I have to put a 0 here because this is the ones column. So it's 580. If I didn't put a 0 there, it would be 58. Now it's not correct. It's 580. All right, if you please open up your practice book to page 309. It looks just like what you see on your screen there. Let's go ahead and solve this problem. So example number 1, it says, Harasa used a digital thermometer to find the morning temperature and afternoon temperature. She found the morning temperature was 31 and 3/10. Whoops, I forgot to grab my pen there, didn't I? Alright, sorry about that. I hit the wrong button there. Alright, so what I was saying is, we know that this temperature is the temperature in the morning, and the afternoon temperature is 37 and 6/10. They want us to estimate the difference, and we learned from our vocabulary, difference means we're going to be subtracting, right? That's what difference means. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to round each one of these, and they want us to round it to the nearest 10. So we're going to underline, we're going to circle. That 7 is going to make it get bigger, so the 3 gets bigger. So the estimated value is 40. And we're going to round 31 and 3/10 to the nearest 10. So that 3 is going to get rounded. The 1 is going to keep it the same, so it gets rounded to 30. So when we write those down, our estimated values, 40 minus 30. Why are we subtracting? Well, because we're finding a difference, right? Up here. So 40 minus 30 is obviously 10. Okay? Now they want us to round it to the nearest 1. Is it going to be different, you think? Well, let's find out. So if we round 37 and 6/10 to the nearest ones place, the nearest whole number, 6 is going to make it get bigger. We are definitely going to be adding 1. So instead of having 37, we're going to have 38. All right, and 31 and 3/10, we're going to round that to the nearest whole number. That 3 is going to keep that the same, so we have 31. So let's go ahead and subtract that and see what our difference is. 38 minus 31, that's obviously 7. So you can see our two answers are slightly different depending on whether we're rounding to the nearest 10 or whether we're rounding to the nearest 1. The answers are going to be slightly different. So, answering the question on the bottom, the difference is about 10 or 7, depending on if you're rounding to the 10s or whether you're rounding to the 1s. The actual difference is 6 and 3/10. So rounding to the nearest blank gave the more accurate estimate. So which one is closer to the actual answer? Yeah, rounding to the nearest 1, right? And anytime you round to the place value that's further right, it's going to be more accurate. Not necessarily easier as an estimate, but more accurate. All right, let's take on example number 2 now. So they've given us the estimate here, and they're asking us to round to the nearest 1, and that's the most important thing you're going to look at. We want to know where we are rounding to. So in this number here, we're rounding to the 5. So that 2 is going to keep it the same, so it's just going to stay 5. Here we're rounding to the 1 in the 1s column, the 9. Well, that's going to make it get bigger, isn't it? So that 1 is actually going to go up to a 2. So when we add 5 and 2, it is 7. The sum is about 7. That is our estimated value when we find the exact answer. It should be about 7. Not exact, but about 7. All right, on the next page, let's go ahead and take a look at some guided practice here. So our first problem, I'll do the first one and then I'll let you guys do the second one. So we're rounding 2 and 8/10. Again, we're rounding to the nearest 1. That's an important piece of information. So we're rounding to this 2 here. That 8 is going to make it get bigger. Yes, so we have 3. The 1, I circled the digit to the right. The 3 is going to keep it the same. It is 1. So I am going to estimate 3 plus 1 for a total of 4. So it is about 4. All right, I'd like you guys to go ahead and do number 2. Pause the video right now and then come back after you have completed number 2. All right, so we are rounding again to the nearest 1. So So I'm circling that 9. It's going to make that get bigger. So the 5 will become a 6. This 1 stays 1. So when I subtract these two, 6 minus 1, it is 5. Our estimate is about 5. And hopefully you all got that correct. Alright, so on the next page here, I would like you guys to set the problem up like this. So I would like you to go ahead and write this problem. First, we got to figure out we are rounding to the nearest ones column. So we're going to underline and circle. That is going to stay the same. So just draw an arrow down below. That is going to become 10. Make sure you look, because sometimes you're going to be adding and sometimes you're going to be subtracting. In this case, we are adding. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're rounding to the ones column. That 6 is going to make it get bigger. So the 5 becomes a 6. So it makes adding really easy. 10 plus 6 is obviously 16. Alright, I'd like you guys to complete number 4 and number 5 and number 6. Go ahead and do 4, 5, and 6 now. Pause the video and then come back. Alright, so let's check your answers. Number 4, that should get rounded to 10. And 32 should get rounded to 33. So when we add that together, you should get a total of 43. Alright, so you got that one right. And we're rounding to the nearest dollar. So 42 gets rounded to 42 minus, this gets rounded to 6. So 42 minus 6 is what, 36? That is the rounded or estimated value. And the last one, number 6 here, we are going to estimate this to 75. And we're going to estimate this number here to 82. So our estimated value is 157. Alright, so for these next few here, I would like you to set it up this way. Again, we are rounding again still to the nearest 1. So we're going to underline the ones column here. 5 is going to make it get bigger. So that gets rounded to 2. And this one here is going to keep it the same. So just draw a little arrow like I have done. That 3 still is 3. And then we're going to add. Make sure you're looking at what you are doing, whether you're adding or subtracting. Obviously 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Alright, go ahead and do number 8 and number 9. Pause the video and then come back for the answers. Alright guys, let's check our work. So, let's go ahead and put our arrows. The first number gets rounded to 8. Our second number gets rounded to 3. We subtract those two. Hopefully you're paying attention to that sign. 8 minus 3 is 5. And number 9, almost running out of room here. It gets rounded to 4. And the second number gets rounded to 1. We are adding these two together. So 4 plus 1 is obviously 5. Alright, hopefully you got those correct. Alright, I would like you to go ahead and round these 5 problems. Please read the directions. Notice you are rounding to the nearest 10. Nearest 10. Solve these problems. Pause the video now. Come back for the answers. Okay guys, let's go ahead and round these. Again, we're rounding to the nearest 10. So, this one here becomes 20. We are adding. Always make sure you are paying attention to the sign. This one gets rounded to 10. So 10 plus 20 is 30 is our first answer. Next one. 83 gets rounded to 80. And 55 gets rounded to 60. We are subtracting. 80 minus 60 is obviously 20. So you all got that right. Let's take a look at the next ones. 37 gets rounded to 40. We are subtracting. We are subtracting 40 from 20. You guys are getting so good at this by now. This is just about mental math, I'm sure. 13, we are rounding to the nearest 10. That would be rounded to 30. And this would be rounded to, it's tricky because there's a 0 in the tens column, right? We can really put a 0 there, but it gets rounded to 10. So our total is 40. Number 14, put little arrows here. 25 gets rounded to 30. We are subtracting. We're subtracting 12, gets rounded to 10. So our total would be 20. Hopefully you got those 5 problems right and ready. You're understanding this material. All right. So the next thing we want to take a look at is problem 15. Turn the page on the back side. 15 says, the weights of Marissa and Tony's televisions are shown in the table. About how much more does Marissa's television weigh than Tony's? And the key part of this question, and I want to make emphasis of it, is this: about how much. Whenever you see about how much, this line, this part right here, that tells you that you are going to be estimating. If it said just find the difference, you would just be subtracting. But since it says about how much, that tells you that we are estimating. So we're going to go ahead and estimate these two numbers. Now it doesn't tell us, it does tell us 1 right up here. I was going to say we have to use some common sense, but they've told us we're rounding to the nearest 1. All right, so we're going to round this number to the nearest 1, 52 and 7/10. That would become 53. 7 is going to make that 2 get bigger. And we are finding a difference, so we are subtracting. 43 and 9/10 becomes 44. And then we go ahead and subtract those two. We have to borrow there, and it becomes 9. So it's about 9 pounds heavier, approximately, because of about how much. All right, I'd like you guys to go ahead and do number 16. Read it, solve it, pause the video right now, and then go ahead and come back for the answer. All right, so number 16, Sophia has $20. She buys a hairband for $3.99, gum for $1.29, and a brush for $6.75. Not including tax, estimate how much change she should receive. Show your work. All right, so this is a 2-step problem. This one's a little bit trickier. So she's starting out with $20. She adds these 3, or purchases these 3 items. They want us to estimate. Doesn't ask about how much. Just telling us, go ahead and estimate those two. So $3.99, that is about 4. And $1.29, that is about 1. And $6.75, that is about 7. So I'm going to go ahead and add those together. That's about 4, that's about 1, that's about 7. So I add those up. 4 plus 1 plus 7, that is about $12. But they're asking us about how much change did she receive, not how much it cost. So I need to take that $20 that she started with up here. That's how I'm getting my 20, and I'm subtracting that from 12, my estimated value over here. So she's going to have about $8 left when she gets done purchasing those items. Okay, let's think today about what we have learned. So let's use this sentence frame in our discussion using our academic vocabulary words. Think back to the vocabulary words we put in our notebook: sum, difference, estimate. So today we learned how to estimate different sums and differences, adding and subtracting of numbers after we have estimated. All right, good work today.